Hi, I'm Dan, a psychic medium, Reiki master, and massage therapist.
And I'm Z, a psychic medium, intuitive coach, and Reiki practitioner.
And welcome to Supernatural Scuttlebutt,
A podcast dedicated to spreading spiritual awareness,
metaphysical insights,
and supernatural conversations between two healers.
So sit back,
relax,
and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome back. I am Dan.
And I'm Z, and we're so happy that you're here today.
Welcome back to Supernatural Scuttlebutt.
Scuttlebutt, but. So today we're going to go ahead and talk about empaths more, and today we're going to talk about narcissists as well, because the two go hand in hand.
So let me give you a quick definition of what narcissism is according to Google. Narcissism is defined as personality qualities, including thinking very highly of oneself, needing admiration, believing others are inferior, and lacking empathy for others. So empath, too much empathy; narcissist, no empathy.
Right. And we talk about the flip sides of the coin, and that's what this is. Empathy, empaths on one side, and then the narcissist on the other side. So if you are an empath, chances are you know what we're talking about, because you are like a moth to a flame for narcissist. So Dan, I'd be curious to know, could you even count how many narcissists you've run into during your lifetime as an empath?
Probably like 90% of all the people I've met that want to be my friend or be in my life. Bosses, people in school, family members. I mean, I didn't even realize, you don't even realize it, until you get older and you're going through this journey and starting to identify these qualities in people. And the thing is, we've talked about this before at length, but the empath almost has no limit to the amount that they can give, and the narcissist has no limit to the amount that they want to take from you.
Wow, I love how you said that. Do you mind saying it one more time? Because I really like that.
Okay. The empath has no limit to the amount that they want to give, and the narcissist has no limit from the amount that they want to take.
Wow, that's very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to talk about how many times we've had people come to our classes or just come to sit down and talk to us, the psychics or mediums or just friends, who tell us that they're in relationships with people who are doing exactly what you just said. They are draining them of all of their strength and all of their energy.
Mm-hmm. So there is a certain pattern I've noticed with the empath narcissist relationship. The thing is, like, when they first establish their relationship together, the empath, like I said, is always giving, the narcissist is always taking. After a certain level of this narcissistic abuse, it's called, the empath is like, I need to stop this. I need to set up boundaries. But the narcissist does not want that relationship to change. They're getting something or fulfillment out of causing you pain or misery, or always blaming everything to you. They become an abuser-abusee relationship. So the abuser is constantly doing the things to side rail you, roadblock you. There's a lot of control mechanisms. Where are you going? When are you coming home? Why are you going to go out? You should stay with me. But meanwhile, they're not really enjoying their time together. It's almost like the narcissist is in this constant cycle of their own pain, and they feel like they have to abuse somebody else to alleviate it. The empath becomes the emotional punching bag for the narcissist. And as soon as the empath starts to limit or take their energy away, the narcissist is the victim. And they try to act like they did this to me. How could they do this to me? They're punishing me. But realize you're only pulling your energy away. If you're pulling your energy away, not giving them access to it, and they're losing their shit over it, pardon my French, then they're a narcissist. I'm not a psychologist, but like, we've seen this in the empath relationship when they're trying to become more spiritual, they're trying to find their own freedom, or they're trying to live a better, peaceful, embodied life. The narcissist doesn't want that. The narcissist wants you in turmoil. The narcissist wants you under their thumb. They want your resources to use at their disposal, and they're going to do whatever they can to get that rise out of you, to push your buttons, to get that reaction they need, so they feel fulfilled in their own selves.
Exactly. And the way that they start out, why you don't realize that they're a narcissist, is because they're love bombing you. They are making you feel like you are on a pedestal and you're the best thing that ever happened in their life.
Mhm.
And that feels so good to us as an empath, but this is what they're doing to you while they're doing it. They're pulling you in little
The
by
whole,
little. Step.
the whole time they're controlling the narrative, right? So
Yes.
at first, if you're the new person in their life, they're telling their friends and family about you. They're saying how amazing you are, how powerful you are, how beautiful you are, how awesome you are, all the cool stuff you are. I love to be with them, blah, 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 blah. After a certain point, though, there's like a tipping point, right? It's almost like the narcissist becomes some sort of envious or jealous that the empath has such a pure heart or is such a good person, that they feel like they have to lower them or take them down a couple pegs to reach them to their level because they're not feeling that. So it becomes like what Z said, like the love bombing, the infatuation, the obsession, and then it becomes control, right? And they want to control the narrative. So, like I was saying before, if the empath starts to limit or try to distance themselves from the narcissist, then the narcissist will start changing the narrative again. They did this to me. I'm the victim of them. Can you believe they reacted that way, while they're pushing the buttons to make you react in a certain type of way?
Right, right. And it's so confusing to the empath because first you're hearing about how wonderful you are and how necessary this relationship is to the narcissist, how you've rescued them, how important this is to them. But then that happens, and all of a sudden you're the worst thing on the face of the planet. You're crazy. You're any number of things that they're going to call you, that the narcissist is going to name you and attach an adjective to. And then it becomes a whole different type of relationship, and it happens quickly. And considering that as empaths, we feel responsible for relationships and the other people in our relationships and in our lives. That again is really confusing, but it's also devastating.
It's really difficult too, because if it's family, everybody's always like, well, it's family, you got to deal with it. But at a certain point, like if you're not feeling your best self and you keep finding that you're dimming your light, or you're not feeling like your full self because this person's constantly inflicting this damage to you, psychologically, it's hard to pull away. It's hard to pull away from it. And the thing is too, like when the empath gets to that point where they're not getting the same love they would get or appreciation from the narcissist, they want you to chase it. They want you to start putting more effort in to try to get that back, but they're still breadcrumbing you and making you follow their trail and controlling you that whole time.
Right, right. That's so true. And neither one of us, like you said, are psychologists or, have degrees in psychology. But I do want to point out that there's different degrees of narcissism, as you said. And then we get into sociopathy, and then we get into people that are psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll briefly touch on the fact that there is a case right now in Myrtle Beach where it's just this type of relationship, just this type of began with all the love bombing and everything that happened to create that relationship. But then it turned into the stalking and the abuse that goes along with that. And this is an extreme, but I'm bringing this up because look at any of those cases. That's why I'm bringing this up. It can happen anywhere and in any setting. And we've been talking about that, and it doesn't matter whether it's a spiritual setting or if you live out in the country or if you live in a multi-million-dollar apartment, any of that can be happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Do you think that you can be a narcissist and be an empath at the same time?
Yes, yes. I think we were talking about this the other day, actually, where like if you're an empath from a young age, it's almost like you can go one of two directions, right? You can go down the empath, the feeling, the caring, the emotional support for all your friends and family, coworkers, or you can go down the narcissism route. Well, I'm hurt and I'm not going to let anybody hurt me. I'm going to be doing the hurt I'm going to be hurting everybody else, right? It goes back to that phrase, hurt people, right? I want to make it clear too, like a narcissist can go into recovery if they start recognizing their actions. There are stories about people that recognized the folly of their ways or how awful they were to people in the past, and something has a breaking point or rock bottom where they're like, I can't keep being this person anymore. I don't like the person I am, and I want to change for the better. So if you might be diagnosed as a narcissist or if you have narcissistic tendencies, it doesn't necessarily mean you're narcissist. It could be you in a self-preservation protection mode from all the damage you've been through in your life previously.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that there is a difference right now between being what we're talking about, narcissism, as opposed to being a sociopath or being a psychopath, because there is a clear defining point. And sociopathy and being a psychopath, that isn't something that's something physical that they have proven, and it's a whole different thing than narcissism and the degrees of narcissism that we're talking about. And the only reason we're talking about narcissism is how that impacts you as an empath.
Yeah, the narcissism, it clouds the judgment of the empath, right? Because it's the gaslighting. You're constantly second guessing yourself. Nothing you do is good enough. You never feel confident in yourself. You feel weak or powerless. You always kind of look to the abuser to set the stage or set the narrative, because you don't want to screw up. But somehow they always find a reason to get mad at you and blame you for something, no matter what it is. Even things outside of both of your control, somehow it always ends up going right back to, you did this and this happened because of you, right? There seems to be like a very strong blame game to keep you weak and powerless, and to not tap into that inner strength that you have as an empath. There's somebody on Instagram I was following. He calls himself a recovering narcissist, and he realized the folly of his ways. I guess it was, he was growing up kind of like in a bad neighborhood. He didn't have any positive male role models. And
so self-preservation,
exactly. He had to learn to be selfish and a little bit, maybe, I don't want to say evil. He had to make not the best choices for his karma, let's say, because it was a survival mode trait. And then as he got to be an adult, he realized what he was doing, how he was using women or manipulating them, how he would always kind of just say or do things to get what he wanted, and that's the only thing that mattered, no matter who he hurt, who he stepped on, whatever he did there.
But so he was trying to make amends.
He's trying to make amends now by putting up videos to talk about narcissism and narcissistic traits. And
wow,
people will send things into him. I don't remember his name, to be honest. I know I saw it a couple times, but he'll like have people like send him comments or situations that they're going through, and they're like, is this a narcissist I'm dealing with? What should I deal with this situation? And he's giving it from his perspective as a recovering narcissist, how to handle that type of personality. A lot of the times with like severe narcissism, the best thing you could do is walk away. It's really hard to do that if you're married to this person, or you have kids with this person, or you live with this person, or they're your family. But unless they want to rectify or change their ways, you're kind of stuck with them, or you have to just walk away. You have to make a break somehow and kind of run for the hills. And that's been a common theme with what we've been seeing with a lot of people the last year since we've been working together, right?
It is. Yeah, that's true. As you said, I think that there are varying degrees of narcissism. And I think the most important thing for an empath to realize is that they can't do anything for that person who's a narcissist. That person has to do it for themselves. And there is a difference between, as we said, a narcissist and a sociopath. So I have a wonderful book that I always recommend to everybody that I talk to. It's by Dr. Martha Stout. You can find it on Amazon, and it's called The Sociopath Next Door. I highly recommend this book because it talks about seeing things from the sociopathic point of view so that you understand your impact doesn't mean anything for a sociopath. It's not going to make a difference. It's like being two different species almost. It's almost like you should really know who's hiding behind the mask and what they're capable of feeling and what they're not. And if they're not capable of feeling that, there isn't anything that you can do. You can't fill that cup up with your feelings as an empath. It's not going to make a difference.
You also can't love them harder to make them change for the better, as most empaths think they can. If I just do what they want and I love them harder and I let them be them, then eventually they'll see the folly of their ways and change. But that's not the line of thinking either.
Right. I agree with you. That is such a good point. And there are some very good YouTube videos. There's a whole channel about narcissists and empaths that I watched before that I really enjoyed because there are doctors that run that channel, and they very clearly talk about this stuff, like you were saying, kind of in a way we're armchair quarterbacks. We're talking from our viewpoint about what we know, what we've seen in groups and dealing with people, but they're actually therapists, that talk about the clear connection empaths and narcissists have to each other and how we end up together all the time.
You think that narcissists tend to be more male or female, or it doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters. Do you? What do you think?
I think, like you said in the last episode that we did, that a lot of men have a hard time showing their emotions. Like society's taught us to be strong and tough, and we have this external shell where it's just all masculine bravado. I am manly, I am strong. I think a lot of men develop narcissistic tendencies as a way to cope with being a male in a Western society, because that's what we're kind of taught, right? So it's like to be a little bit cold, to be a little bit selfish. So I think I don't want to say like there's more males than females that are narcissists. I would say the same as you, but I think men are kind of taught to be a little bit more narcissistic as a survival mechanism in Western society.
Well, and it's just like in Western society, we tend to idolize sociopathic tendencies. Corporations and corporate people who are very money oriented, and it's not about the individual, but it's about really capitalizing on people. That tends to be more narcissistic and sociopathic too, like you're saying.
Right.
But I'm curious, have you ever had anybody talk to you and you think they're not asking me anything about myself? They are totally having the conversation. I could walk away and it wouldn't matter.
Many times. Me and Lauren, my wife, both have experienced that with friends or at parties where we never met the person, and within the first 5 minutes it's just all about them, and it's not really like they care about us. They just want to use us as the audience so they can keep propagating their ego and telling us how amazing they are. Meanwhile, they're telling us things that are not what an amazing person would do. They're kind of almost braggadocious about their selfishness, and they just want to, like, it's almost like they want to clear their conscience by talking about the misdeeds they've done and getting validation that it's okay to think that way or something, if that makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've known people that would call me on the phone and I could put the phone down and walk away and just walk back every 5 or 7 minutes and go, okay. And then they're like off on another tangent.
You just put a recording on. Right. Oh,
Exactly.
that's it. Yeah.
But that is something that also I'm responsible for as an empath, because I'm not putting a stop to that. I'm not setting my boundaries up. And
Yeah.
I'm also kind of blending, like you said. I love how you say that empaths tend to blend into the background and they don't
Yeah.
want to be seen. How did you know that? Where does that come from?
For me. I think I was telling you the other day, like my town, Long Island, like everything was about, we were like an hour drive from the city, 2 hours by train. So everything was about money. Everything was about success. Everything was, I got the new video game system. I got the new starter jacket. I have this. I am better because of that. And there was always this like one-upping braggadocious nature with things. And that was never me. So like, I always kind of just let people just talk, I just let them do their thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, but at the same time, it makes you feel a little bit inconsequential or lower because everybody's bragging about themselves and you're not talking about yourself at all. And then you start to feel like no one really cares. I don't really matter because nobody's taking an interest in you trying to one up their ego battle with them. Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it is like nobody really knows you, nobody hears you, and nobody wants to hear you or understand you. But again, we're kind of contributing to that too. My cat just fell off the table, is what that noise was. Epic fail on the part of a cat. So I think that's one of the reasons that we've had such an audience at Beach Dreams, the coffee shop that we talked about in North Myrtle Beach that Mary runs. Yes, that was a commercial. I'm dropping a commercial ad into this,
Come
but
on
she
down to Beach Dreams.
exactly, she is a wonderful person and she makes great coffee and her heart is so open. But people come in and they want to sit back there with us and they want to talk about all this stuff and they want to be a part of it. And I think it's everything that everybody wonders about. They just haven't had the opportunity to discuss.
I've noticed a lot on this energy work journey. It's giving people permission that they've never had before, right? It's like if you just sell somebody, it's okay to feel how you feel. That is huge, huge for someone that always feels like their emotions are too much and they have to keep hiding them. It's okay to feel this way while you're going through what you're going through. It's so hard for empaths to kind of understand that. But once you tell them that, then it's almost like that light bulb moment where like, oh wow, it is okay. I shouldn't be feeling this way, or I should be feeling this way. Now I got to work with this emotion that I've been ignoring, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So one of the things that you and I talk about when people come in and they sit down and we're all chatting and everybody's relaxing, one of the most important things that we talk about is being grounded. It's so important, especially for empaths, to be grounded. And do you mind talking a little bit about that and what grounding is? And
So yeah, there's a couple different things about grounding. So grounding, first of all, is you connecting to the earth, right? That's called earthing, but grounding is you consciously connecting your energy to the earth's field to ground your energy out. So the way I like to explain it, I have a background. I worked in solar and electrical systems for a while. If you're having a certain amount of energy going through your body, you need a certain amount of grounding to kind of balance out the equation. So whatever energy is coming in from the universal side or the empath is absorbing, there has to be a way to dispel this energy. Otherwise, we kind of hold it all in and we feel stuck. And that's what we always kind of use the terms for self-care, right? Self-care is regulating your energetic body to keep your body in a homeostasis. So grounding to me is connecting with your root chakra. We do these in meditations. We consciously imagine roots going to the earth and connecting to the earth's core and kind of just giving yourself permission to release all the stagnant, stuck stuff that you've been holding on for so long, right? There's also the concept of being grounded more in your body. So it's almost like you're grounding into the earth, but you're also, while you're releasing, you're consciously grounding more of your higher self into your body so you can embody more of your higher self.
right. And when you say root chakra, we always picture that if we're sitting, we picture that as where we're sitting and
Right
where
there.
Dan is pointing at that bottom colorful red root chakra at the
Right
groin,
there.
right?
Right there.
And one of the ways that I like to ground, because not everybody can meditate easily, and we hear that all the time. So if you want to ground, you can go outside and walk barefoot. Sometimes I'll go outside and just sit barefooted and put my feet on the grass. But another way that I ground is by walking. I'm a big walker. So whenever I'm walking and my feet are connecting, it's giving me a very peaceful feeling. But I also like to garden. So when I'm putting my hands in the soil, when I'm sitting there and planting and doing something with the earth, then I feel very grounded as well. So what are some other ways that you ground?
So yeah, grounding and meditation, a lot of people have a hard time sitting and just kind of like not having the chatter in their mind. The Buddhist monks call that monkey mind, where your thoughts are kind of buzzing around. You can't just stop them. So meditation to me doesn't have to be you closing your eyes, sitting with your arm like my guy over here. It could be you just being present and mindful of your present moment, staying grounded in the present moment. So tactile senses, like having this sense of touch, lighting a candle or an incense that smells, and like really immersing yourself in like the olfactory sense of smelling. cooking is like a meditative practice that I like. It's like you're focused on your knife cuts, you're focused on the heat of the pan, how much oil you're, when you're fully immersed in something, that's a good way to ground. So, and be meditative about it. It's almost like your life could be a walking meditation if you allow it to be, and you stay conscious in the present moment while you're doing your things.
Oh, I love how you said that. That's so cool. Because I know we have Mel in our group, and she's an artist, and she is the most grounded and at peace when she's creating art. And we have Christine, who makes candles, and she's very peaceful when she's making candles. And then Bill, his meditation and his way of grounding, he's very mechanical with electronic things. So he owns his own business. He's constantly fixing things for people, and that takes him out of his head and grounds him as well. So it's interesting that you said it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of like the mind body connection where you're not kind of ruminating or letting that chatter overwhelm you, and you're kind of immersing yourself in whatever's in front of you. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be any of the things we mentioned. It could be other hobbies. It could be power gliding. It could be anything that you want to do
Right,
to keep your
right. My
mind.
daughters, my daughters are in a meditative state because they knit and they crochet.
Mm-hmm,
So they're working with their hands.
mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah.
So for empaths that are watching this video, that's so critically important, is just to find your space to ground,
And
to get rid of
also,
the monkey mind that you talk about.
I always tell people to try to figure out new hobbies, try to figure out things, even if it seems difficult or challenging. It's good to activate different parts of your brain and keep you engaged. But at the same time, it's always blows my mind when some people are like, I don't have any hobbies. I just look at my phone and I watch TV. And it's like, you got to have some sort of hobbies. You got to keep yourself active and engaged by doing something. It doesn't matter what it is. If there's something interesting you, it's okay to be a beginner doing it, because you're creating new neural pathways in your brain to learn. And learning is always good for the brain. Our brain always wants to learn different ways to do things.
Mhm,
If it could
mhm.
be something physical as well as mental, it's even better, because you're creating more of that mind body connection we were talking about.
Right, right. That's a good way to put it. And I know that there are people who drum, people who play music. Those are some loud activities like drumming, but it's absorbing that energy and it's clearing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So as an empath, it's so critically important to do that. And then let those emotions that you've collected throughout the day just sort of release and go away.
Melt away or dissipate. Right, right. I think it's good for people when they get off of work to kind of just decompress. But like I think we were saying earlier, like when you go on the phone, if you're just watching TV, you're not really decompressing from the day. You're bypassing your emotions and numbing yourself. So it's good to kind of just like maybe give yourself 5-10 minutes, maybe take a bath to just soothe your nervous system. I'm home, I'm safe, I'm comfortable. I can let the day kind of like leave me where I left it before I entered the door. That kind of reminds me of one story. I forgot where I heard this, but every day when someone's dad got home from work, there was almost like a juniper tree or something outside. And every day the dad would like touch the tree as his way of saying, like, I'm leaving work at the tree and now I'm home. I'm going to spend time with my family. And that's my focus. I'm not going to think about work when I get home.
Well, I really like that. I think another analogy also for an empath, if you're an empath, you're walking around like a big sponge. And throughout the entire day, you're absorbing into the sponge all of these emotions, all of this energy. You could go to Starbucks and the cashier is kind of sad and upset, and she just shoves the coffee at you, and you absorb that. And then you go on to the next place where you see a dog that is being dragged by his leash, and you absorb that. And then you go on to the next place and you see people who are having a very happy occasion, but they're still crying and they're so emotionally involved in that occasion, and you absorb that. As you're going throughout the day, every single one of those things are being absorbed into that sponge. And so when you get home, like this big sponge full of all of these emotions, you have to find some way to just kind of squeeze that out. And that's what that grounding is doing. It's releasing all of that and getting rid of that for you so that you're not carrying that around with you.
And then you add in the stress of the media, whatever's happening to your kid at school, whatever stressful situation they're going in, you're constantly taking it all in, right? And feel like you have to alleviate, like you put the burden on your shoulders. It's all yours to hold for everybody. Another term I like to throw around a lot, it is not mine. I am not taking credit for this. I've heard this on the internet a million times. As an empath, you should observe, but not absorb. And as empaths that are not trained, we have a tendency to observe and absorb and immediately feel the feeling of whatever we're looking at and kind of attach to it. That energetic attachment stays with us. So you have to realize it's okay to like observe and feel that emotion, but you shouldn't take it all on yourself like it's your problem now.
So again, I mean, we've been talking about a safe space. Safe spaces are so important for empaths, and your home should be your safe space. You should have a place where you feel comfortable. You can play really music that makes you feel good. You can walk out and put your feet in the grass or connect with people that make you feel really happy, do things that make you feel really happy, and meditate and release that energy. So I'm curious of what you do after you've had a very emotion-laden day and you walk in the house, and how do you handle that?
Well, I want to go back to your one point first. You brought up something really interesting about your home kind of being your sanctuary, right? So going back to the root chakra, the red over there, that's your feeling of safety and security. If your home doesn't feel safe, and if you're living with someone that has that narcissistic personality and they're constantly digging or annoying or trying to vie for your attention or take your peace away, you're not feeling safe and secure to kind of unwind and unload, right? So when that root chakra is in constant threat or under fire, we're not feeling safe and secure. And that means that our sympathetic nervous system is active, meaning our fight or flight mode, right? There has to be a way for us to regulate our parasympathetic, which is the rest and relax phase. But if we're constantly in this fight or flight, run from one thing to the next, and then you're going home into an environment where you don't feel safe and comfortable or supported, it's very hard to kind of get out of there. So there needs to be some sort of detox in the home. So for me, it could be saging. I usually like take a shower. When I take a shower, I like to imagine that there's like beautiful energy just washing away the stress or the heaviness of the day, and I imagine it like just coming off of me and circling down the drain and dissipating. Cooking, like I said earlier, I like to cook a nice meal at the end of a long day, something that's healthy, something that's fun, something I kind of immerse myself that may be a little challenging but not too challenging. But I'm just as guilty. I look at my phone, I put the TV on, but I don't get sucked into it as much as I used to. I recognize when I'm starting to go down this rabbit hole and I keep looking and scrolling and searching and chatting and going from app to app to app to app. And then I got another notification. I'm going to go back to the app again, So I recognize that pattern and I put the phone down more. I've been trying to be more present when I'm watching TV or movies with my wife, and we've been kind of putting the phone down. Walking my dog. I always enjoy walking my dog or playing with her. It's nice to kind of like interact with a non-human intelligence that can make you realize like how simple the joys of being a pet is, like how excited my dog gets from a ball or like telling her I'm taking her out. Like you forget as humans like how much joy and fun is out there when you're so bogged down by heaviness all the time. So sometimes it's easier to go and do the simple things that you can take pleasure in. I always say like the best things in life are free, right? So why not use them as a way to ground and dissipate that energy too? That's
such a good point. And I was going to bring up my pets too, which as we go along and talk, if anybody hears strange sounds, it's the dog or the cats because they always choose that opportunity to make these noises in the background. That unadulterated love, that huge unconditional love that animals have, and that simplicity, like you said. They're such loving beings, and just sitting in that love and sitting in that space with them and watching them is grounding. It's so heavily grounding, like you said.
Very grounding. And usually as an empath, you have a strong connection to your pets, right? They feel your emotion, you feel theirs in a sense. You almost have like a sense for what they want or what they need all the time. So it's very good to kind of like work with that connection if you have a pet and you're an empath as well.
You know, I'll run a hot bath, I'll put some Epsom salts in it, I'll do what you've done, and just imagine all that negativity is just coming off and it's going down the drain. Listening to music, singing, I can't carry a tune in a bucket, but I can sure sing at the top of my voice and just let all of that emotion out. So what were you going to say?
I forgot.
Oh.
I keep losing it.
I want everybody to know that this is the way that we have conversations for hours and hours. Dan and I just talk and talk and talk and talk. And it's interesting coming from different generations too. But we still have that connection. And we have that with people who come in who are college students, but we have that with people who come in who are retiring or people who are in their 40s. So that connection is ageless, just like we talked about.
Yeah, it's that heart connection, right? It's the open heart, loving heart. We want to help. We care enough. It's not all about the money. It's about helping people. It's about getting the information out. I think a lot of what my journey has been, and I'm sure yours as well, is not only to like help people recover from what they've been through and to deal with their energy sensitivity issues they might have, but also we always talk about doing inner child work in the spiritual community for a reason, right? It's because as we become adults, it's almost like it's numbed out of us to not use our imaginations anymore. And a lot of the times when you're a budding spiritual person or empath that's starting to wake up, you forget that you have this imagination, but imagination is part of the spiritual work, right? You can't do any of this energy work unless like you have like an imagination to know and feel and kind of like able to visualize and articulate the energy. Things to help you before you go out, imagining like a big bubble of white loving light around you. It sounds weird and awkward because as adults, we don't really like to pretend anymore. And this isn't pretend though, but if we can't visualize and imagine and feel that, then and if we don't believe it works, then why would we do it?
We have the weirdest things happen when we are talking to each other. It doesn't matter where we are. We have all this light come up. We have these things that are happening. We have just weird stuff.
We have a dog that just randomly dies. We have
I mean, oh God, that was awful. But no, but that light that came up there, and then we had colors that were over here in my room, and it was just kind of weird. I think that just so that you as an empath don't feel like you're alone, because you are not alone. You are not. Please comment down in the comments and let us know if there's something we can do for you as an empath. If there's a subject that you'd like to talk about, we always like to hear from everyone. Dan is working on a Facebook page and Instagram and TikTok and all of the different social media platforms. So however you want to reach out to us, we would love to hear from you.
We'd love feedback.
We do. We do. We love feedback. So everybody, we are so glad that you were here today. We always feel honored when you tune in, and please hit that like button and subscribe.
Smash the like button. Smash
it. Smash that like button. And then we're going to be going more in depth about some of the supernatural experiences that we've had. We know that there are people out there who have talked to us about things that are happening in their lives that they would like to talk about and have a little more of an explanation about. So we'll be doing that in upcoming episodes.
We're also open to suggestions. If there's anything you want us to talk about, anything that needs to be clarified, if you want to hear our opinion on anything, we'll be happy to share and to make follow-up videos for that.
Yeah, that sounds good. So please tune in next time. And I'm Z.
I'm Dan.
And we will see you later.